All right, here we go. Well, we got our Final Fight LNS video in last night. Finally, it's a good 2 hours something video. I went over a lot of aspects in it that I've been wanting to go over, so that's good. I don't know if I'll ever need to do another video on it with that one. So it's one of those rare cases when it was done that I kind of wish I just had another shot at doing it all over again. Only I guess could have done like a practice run, but just for the talking, which is rare. Usually I'm not very critical of myself there. But I went over the video this morning, rewatching it to see if there was anything I need to touch up or whatever. And I was like, like I could be better, more to the point sometimes. Especially talking about the stats on the characters. I basically talk about every stat like two to three times. This stat is strength, it does damage, and then I notice that you do more damage and you do less damage when it's lower. Like, yeah, we get it. The problem being that there's no in-game explanation of the stats, so I'm sort of explaining the phenomenon as seen instead of exactly what it is. We just don't have that info. It's not a big deal. Gameplay went well, and I recorded 2 versions towards the end using a little workaround I had found in the game, or I don't know, whatever. You can just the game saves your game at any point. Every time you load to a new screen, it saves, and you can always just exit and reload, and you're back at that save point, which is a good tool when you're like struggling to do a particular scene in the game. You can always just quit out and load it up again. As far as I can tell, intentional, because even when you beat the game, it doesn't delete the save. Or if you compare it to a very similar functionality found in Streets of Rage fan-made remake, in that game, if you load the save goes away. So the best you can do is one retry before you like lose that save point. You can do tricks. You can always copy the directory and like reload it. You can always just copy it and dump the save directory back in and load. And okay, it deletes that, but it doesn't delete your backup. Stuff like that. But it meant that it indicates that they didn't really want you to use it as like a quit reload until you get what you want. A little weird because generally I find in beat 'em up games you hit a competency level where you either like beat it or don't. Like you'll be on the cusp for a little bit, and then usually beating it either gives you a confidence or will make you be like, how did I ever beat that? And you never beat it again. So they're really eliminating a very small edge case where you luck out and beat it. But the luck outs, they just don't happen. They're purely luck. It's usually more that you got in the zone and were you just like concentrating, or you weren't distracted, whatever. We're debating whether luck exists when I'm talking about this kind of crap, but I feel like you don't when you're on PC and you put like anti-cheat stuff, and we're not talking about like a big shoot 'em up FPS stuff here, but just like single player anti-cheat stuff, it always just feels like a huge waste of time to me, because you can always fire up Cheat Engine and do whatever you want. Search for bytes, find the find the value that's like your health or your number of extra lives or your continues. It's usually pretty easy to search that stuff out. Or people make cheat engine tables that you can just download and fire up, and there it is. And so I do admire that aspect of Final Fight LNS, that they don't have randomized health value lookups like some games try to do, where you find the health value and you put in the value and you play through, and then when you quit the game and launch it again, well, they moved it to a slightly different address and you have to like search for it again. You just search for it again. It's like time. They wasted time having a code that moves around. You waste time using the engine to find it. Every time it moves, everybody still finds it in the end. It doesn't stop you from finding it. In Cheat Engine, when you fire it up, or in Final Fight, when you fire up Cheat Engine again after quitting and launching the game, it's in the exact same field. So, good. You didn't waste time stopping us from cheating to enjoy the game. I don't know what to say. I'm playing it without Cheat Engine at this point. I did play it with Cheat Engine a couple of times to see what the other difficulties were like, because I didn't want to throw 10 minutes at it and just screw up something dumb and not get anywhere and be like, okay, let's start that over again. I guess particularly with this save load thing, you could practice, brute force practice your way through the game entirely, just bit at a time. It's just practice. It's weird because essentially the cheats and the saving and loading and all that, they increase engagement. I want to say, I'm not a big marketing guy. I don't exactly know what I mean when I say engagement, but I can say that you play the game more when you're like, aha, I can do this, and now I can play and I can do a thing I'm interested in, which maybe if you tie that all the way back to Destiny, it's yep, that's the same old discussion there. Just let people play the thing they want to play. If your game is good, they'll stick around, and I guess on their end they're like, well, we need you to stick around whether or not it's good. And you're like, hey, we're not exactly lining up here. It's a tough one. In the end, you just move on from the game anyway. It's it. I don't want to get too Debbie Downer here, but the predatory aspect of it is where it starts getting really questionable for me. You find people who are vulnerable to the FOMO style complaints, and you're like, well, now wait a minute, this guy wouldn't play this game except you made him worried that he's missing out on some item or some power up, and so now it's okay for you to be like, you have to go in here and do these bounties, and you have to do them by Monday or they disappear, and when they disappear you'll never get it again, and then you don't get the gun, and then it takes forever. What if they just wanted to play the game? I feel like we talk about this half the time on the channel. We need some new topics to talk about. Played a bunch more Ori with my wife, and I was super high on the game when it started, and I could see the seams of where it could be hard, where they would increase the difficulty. I think it has kind of floaty, mushy controls. It's a common complaint though early in Castle Metroid style, Metroidvania exploration games where you get power-ups. Generally, you can almost always tell in a game that you're going to get a double jump, because you're just well, these jumps are just a little bit off or a little bit too hard, because in general the game was designed knowing there would be a double jump, and it's just pretty traditional that they don't give you the double jump. It needs to be a power-up you find. So locks you out of a simple jump early on that gets you into more of the level. It might just be an unavoidable thing. You could give the player the double jump immediately, and then you just have to put something else, a grapple hook or a wall climb that keeps them out. And you see those too. The more you think about it, you're okay, that looks like a weird thing I can grapple, and that looks like you just start being able to do it. So the floaty, weirdly precise. There's an early jump that's just jump from here to there, and it's the maximum distance Ori can run and jump. And if you hit it early, and early isn't that early, or early's a tenth of a second, you don't make the jump. And there's not that many jumps like that in the game. They also put you in a dark zone where you need to carry around a lantern kind of early on, and the lantern makes the platforms appear. And all around, I was like, huh, I didn't think it was this kind of game. And then you get to a point where the lantern like lights up the whole area. You don't carry it around anymore. You're like, oh, interesting. Um, just interesting stuff. A lot of like one-off sections that have like one-shot kills. Like here comes a giant boulder and you got to run away from it. You can run fast in that game, but you're running fast into like murder, into enemies and spikes and pits that you just don't know about. Um, so yeah, like good, run as fast as you want into that fucking murder trap. And it is an interesting game because you could save at any time as long as you have energy to make a save point. Uh, but I find when I'm playing it, I'm just enjoying playing it, and I, the energy you need to save is the same energy you use to open doors. It's also the same energy you use to do like an AoE attack that also breaks up blocks to get you places and is good for fighting certain kinds of enemies. So you end up like hoarding it and using it and not saving with it, and you're like, whoa, there are like hard coded, just like this is a save point. You can go to it, you hit a button, it saves, it gives you all your juice and energy back. It's just like Metroid on Super Nintendo, I guess. So it's not like you get screwed and you're like, I can't save. But there will be like these whole like times when I do like a big long like 2-3 minute 2 or 3 minutes platforming thing, and then like, oh, I didn't quite make it and I fell down and this enemy hit me and I didn't realize I was like kind of low, and then it knocked me into like a spike and I died or something. Like, ow, that hit me into one hit and then a spike. Ah, crap. Could have saved at any point. Could have saved, but didn't feel like it was necessary. Didn't feel like I was in trouble. Maybe I'll talk about Ori some more in another video. This is getting long enough, but yeah, I think a pretty cool game. Got my gripes. Talk about some more about it next time. I got to save up topics. What am I going to yammer about if I talk about everything in one video?